Yo, dude, what up? I bet you look in the mirror every day and ask yourself, Self, why aren't I subscribed to a Patreon that discusses pop culture featuring prehistoric animals? Well, guess what? You can be at patreon.com/Matthew Donald. There you can find bonus content for both my shows, The Ritwit and Paleobites. For the Paleobites bonus content, just like you always wanted, we discuss pop culture featuring prehistoric animals. All your dreams have come true. This month we're talking about Dinotopia, The World Beneath, the second big extravagant picture book in the Dinotopia franchise. Oh, it's great stuff. So beautiful. Such beautiful artwork. It is my personal favorite out of all of them. Got some great stuff, and it's so cool. A lot of cool stuff. It's really great. Link is in the description for you can sign up to the Patreon. Thank you for your support, and have a lovely day. Roar. Growl. Snarl. Bellow. Welcome to Paleobites, the podcast that cheerfully reminds you that the water you drink was once dinosaur piss. My name's Matthew Donald, and each week I and a rotating series of guest co-hosts talk about and rate a genus of prehistoric animal, be it dinosaur, mammal, arthropod, and so on. And this week we're talking about a heck of an arthropod. But this week I'm joined by the best backcountry best backcountry, that's the verb. That's the noun for it.
I'm actually not the best.
Well, the best one I know.
Fair
in
enough.
my collection of man cave dwelling nerds. It's Natasha Krech. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing well. How about you?
I'm doing great. It's a good day at the studio.
It is. The weather out here is gorgeous. A bit hot.
Yeah, it's a bit hot, but hey, it's not.
But it's dry heat.
I grew up in Texas. That's humid. Once you go there, you can never go back.
I came from the Twin Cities.
Yeah. Oh, that's true. It's humid there,
Minnesota literally has 15,000 lakes.
Like, honestly, I'll take having to put on chapstick every once in a while over having hot, humid summers.
I mean, I was at an ice cream shop joking with my cousin, made some other random dude laugh about how at least Colorado's dry heat
Yeah.
will just burn you, but up in Minnesota, we're turning it into pots of sticky rice.
Right. Ooh, that's a good dinosaur-related question. Here we go. So, it's two-prong question. One, what is the most stereotypical prehistoric animal you can think of? Like, when you think of, like old-school prehistoric environment, what do you picture inhabiting?
I picture T-Rex and Stegosaurus.
Okay.
And the Triceratops.
Okay. So, where in the U.S. would you think would be best for them in that, based on the humidity and the vegetation?
So, based on what we know, I would say I could picture a Triceratops like bison on the Great Plains.
Yes, okay.
Stegosaurs maybe somewhere between the forest and the plains, in that interesting gray zone.
Yeah, like Stegosaurus was from Colorado, but they were from Colorado before there were mountains there, so I don't know if they do well in modern Colorado. Like,
They might inhabit the Front Range.
yeah.
They might inhabit the Front Range where you've got patches of forest and you've got large grassy areas.
Oh, I guess that's true. They wouldn't really eat grass, though, would they?
We know that Stegosaurs were herbivores.
Yeah, but I guess grass is just really hard to digest, though.
It is, so throw in a couple ferns.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
As for T-Rex, I could see them along the Front Range.
Yeah, they could probably be anywhere,
If they were
honestly,
ambush predators, they would have hidden in the patches of forest and trees.
Well, and plus T-Rex had quite a range. Like, we have T-Rex fossils in, like, northern Canada. And this back then, like, North America was further north than it is now.
Fair.
So in the winter, it probably got cold, probably to the point of snow.
Probably.
And so there's been, like, kind of a hypothesis, not a theory because there's no evidence for it, but a hypothesis that, whether T-Rex was feathered or not, usually if it's that big and it's something hot, it probably wouldn't be, like in like elephants. But if it was further north, even though it's the same species, there might be variants that have more feathers
Regional
than others.
variants make sense, though.
Yeah, because I think there's also T-Rex fossils in Mexico, I think. And those were definitely not feathered. But
it would make sense for more northern tyrannosaurs to have evolved at least some sort of downy coating to deal with the lower temperatures.
Absolutely.
They wouldn't have to be anything vibrant like a parakeet.
That's true.
It might just be something more earth tone and practical.
Yeah, I like that.
Would I like that? No, I would like that. Yeah.
But yeah, I could imagine Triceratops kind of like a herd of bison out on the Great Plains.
Yes.
That would actually be a beautiful sight to see.
That would be. It'd scare off all the bison, though. But
Well, good thing they didn't live together.
yeah, or
They
like
would have outcompeted them.
like in Good Dinosaur when there was that one area with the bison and the T-Rex, because it was like dinosaurs, the meteor missed, but some mammals still evolved to the point where there's humans and bison, but there's still dinosaurs. That was a weird movie.
That is just weird.
Yeah.
I mean, all kinds of movies love to lump humans and dinosaurs together.
Yeah.
I mean, not that it's not fun fiction.
Well,
it really is.
And that's the thing with like dinosaur fiction, though. That's like always the hurdle, because like you need to explain why humans and dinosaurs are together, because they're never naturally together.
No, and from an evolutionary standpoint, that dinosaurs
Uh-huh.
tended to outcompete the mammals for the longest time.
Absolutely. So
And so, as our world is, it makes sense that humans and dinosaurs were never together.
right, and that's why like. See, a lot of times in fiction, if you want to have a gimmicky premise, your gimmick has to be just one gimmick.
Yes.
So, and with dinosaurs, you're spending your one gimmick on why are they together.
Yeah.
So that's why the types of dinosaur stories that involve humans are quite limiting. Like,
I mean, I love the world of Dinotopia.
yeah, like that's a good one, but
That is
that's the thing. One of them is a lost world. That's
Yeah.
that's one way. Or like
It's a beautiful story.
a lost world, some part of the place where they've been lost, where they're still survived, or like Jurassic Park, like that we brought them back somehow, or time travel. Those like the things you can do. That's why like I feel like in my Megazoic books, buy on Amazon.com, I would say ding, but that was for my other podcast where I do cheap plugs. I circumvented that gimmick by having the gimmick be, oh, there were dinosaurs back then, but they had a civilization, and therefore I can do a lot more with it, not as
Yeah.
limited as if I had to explain why humans were there, so.
I mean, dinosaur fiction serves a purpose.
Mm.
Sometimes it's escape fantasy.
Oh, I'd say most of the time it's escape. There's not a real dinosaur drama.
No? Not yet. Somebody come up with that.
Well, because dramas are all about, like, the human condition or whatever.
They are.
I guess Land Before Time is kind of a drama. Like
In a way, it really
like,
is.
so. But I'm talking about, like, there's no Schindler's List of dinosaur
No.
movies.
No, and that's probably better that way.
Yeah, like,
I mean, some of the earliest dinosaur fiction I was exposed to, besides Land Before Time, was Calvin and Hobbes.
oh, yes.
Calvin loved to imagine himself riding a Triceratops, or sometimes dinosaurs in F-16s.
Yeah, I was just saying, dinosaurs and F-16s, yeah. I'd like that.
That's fun. I loved in some of the comic strips where he was zoning out at school and his desk turned into a Triceratops, and he would just ride off into the sunset.
I would like to do that. I feel like if I was going to ride a dinosaur, it'd be a much faster one than a Triceratops. I feel like a Triceratops would just be kicking it constantly, like, move, move. Just be kind of wandering. It's like riding a rhino, Like, there's not much it can go fast, but it needs to have a reason to go fast,
Yeah.
I don't know, like horses, they love to run sometimes just to run, so...
They really do.
Anyways, speaking of none of this, although I guess I feel...
Our tangents, though.
Yeah.
Our listeners seem to really enjoy our rabbit trails.
I mean, as far as I know, like, no one sent me an email being like, guys, stop tangenting and talk about the damn dinosaurs already. And like, all right. We're talking about Meganeura today, though. The large nerved one is what that means. This is the ultimate prehistoric dragonfly. I guess what I could have asked you was, if you could imagine this thing in any part of the U.S., where would you have... That's kind of more what I meant.
Probably over large bodies of water.
I was going to say, like, Baton Rouge,
Yeah.
New Orleans.
The Great Lakes.
Yeah, the Great Lakes, yeah.
Technically, one of those Great Lakes is a sea.
Oh, yeah.
Lake Superior is not a lake.
It's a sea? Is it saltwater?
It is not, but it's freshwater. It's an inland sea, but it's too big to fit the geographical definition of a lake.
Like the Black Sea. That's a sea. Is it saltwater?
I think that one might be.
Oh, okay, because it's a bit bigger, so...
But the Great Lakes are all interconnected freshwater.
Oh, okay.
And Lake Superior just happens to be so big that it is, by definition, a sea.
Wow.
And you actually need to be extremely careful when dealing with it if you're out on a boat.
Right.
It has claimed lives in U.S.
Oh,
history.
wow, really?
There are sunken ships, including at least one Civil War era ship at the bottom.
Wow. Can you imagine? Wonder if there were pirates. Freshwater pirates.
I haven't heard anything, but I'll have to go pester some U.S. history nerds. They might have some stories
Yeah.
for us.
That sounds cool. Did you say ironclads were down there? Or did I make? Or just said Civil
no,
War ship?
There was a wood ship up there.
Oh, when I think of Civil War ships, I think of like ironclads.
No, that was the coast.
Yeah, 'cause that'd be cool.
That would be.
Ironclads are amazing. Like what a feat of engineering for the time.
Yeah, for that time.
Like
wow.
that's like a battleship. Like
It was an early battleship, or you could even argue it was an early submarine because of how it sat in the water.
that's true.
Although I do think the South attempted and had some tragic failures with submarines.
Yeah.
I saw a documentary recently.
Like back then?
Yeah.
Oh wow. That's crazy.
Yeah, I would have to double check the names and everything, but there were a few very tragic incidents with some early attempts
Wow.
that we wouldn't see until much, much later.
Anyways, Meganeura. That's rare that we start tangenting before I even get to the type of creature.
Well, you brought up where this thing
I
would be
did.
located.
That was my bad. All right. Type is an Odonopterid, the group of insects that includes the modern day dragonflies and damselflies. What's a damselfly?
They're an itty bitty little thing. If you come across one, you can see that they're definitely related.
Okay. All right.
Their
Cool.
tail kind of turns up.
Oh, it's kind of like a little scorpion, kind of.
Yeah, but they're totally harmless.
Oh, well, that's good.
Totally harmless, just like dragonflies. Totally harmless.
Okay, here we go. Size 26 to 30 inch / 65 to 72 centimeter wingspan.
Impressive.
3 to 5 ounces or 85 to 150 grams.
Not bad.
Yeah, 3 feet. Like that's nearly 3 feet. It's not quite 3 feet.
That's the equivalent to several modern birds of prey.
That's 2.5 feet. Yeah, stretch your arm out. That's about the length. Maybe a little bit shorter than that, but like maybe up to your hand. That's
an impressive wingspan.
yeah. That's a Meganeura. It was a carnivore.
Of course. Like their modern counterparts.
Yes. Time, Late Carboniferous, 305 to 298 million years ago.
So they're long gone.
Long gone. This is before the period before the Triassic. So you're like before the Triassic, right before the Triassic got the Permian, and before the Permian was the Carboniferous. So location, France.
Of course.
Of course. I don't think of France when I think of this thing.
I mean, some of the best finds have really been in Europe because they were interested in paleontology
That's
so
true.
early on.
That's just where they were. Yeah, where they started out. Yeah.
I'm sure that there were subspecies around the globe.
Oh, I'm sure. But right now, the main fossils we have are in good old France. It was described in 1885, so around the time when good old France was building their Eiffel Tower.
Oh, interesting.
So they were like, ugh, I'm sweating so crazy building this stupid thing for the World's Fair. I'm going to go out and hunt for some fossils for a break. Oh, what's this?
I mean, a lot of fossil finds have happened on accident.
Wait a minute. Maybe this thing was... hold on. When was the Eiffel Tower finished? It was in the 1880s, right? But when in the 1880s?
Oh, that's a
Let's
good question.
Google! On air, guys!
All hail the mighty Google.
Yeah.
All hail.
All hail modern times where nothing's a mystery anymore. Except for whether dark matter is going to win the battle against gravity and decide the fate of the universe. But, you know, that's a minor thing.
Yeah, that's no big deal. Unless
Okay.
you're an astrophysicist.
Eiffel Tower. Do. It was completed in 1889. Oh, and construction started in 1887. So, never mind. They weren't... While they were conceptualizing the plans for, like, Mr. Gustav Eiffel, I think was his name, was like, I've got this idea for this big tower. They're like, you're wearing me out already. I'm going to go hunt for some dragonfly fossils. So...
Oh, interesting.
That's what happened. Okay, so it wasn't quite being constructed yet. Pop culture appearances, Walking with Monsters,
Nice.
Nigel Marvin's Prehistoric Park, Ark Survival Evolved, Dinosaur Train,
Cool.
Terra Nova, and possibly the original Jurassic Park novel, which features a scene where giant dragonflies with 6-foot wingspans are shown buzzing around Grant and the kids.
Wow.
However, given that those are far bigger than Meganeura, and how unlikely it would be to find DNA of something that old, especially since considering that InGen's main source of DNA, the blood of mosquitoes trapped in amber, would not have touched Meganeura, as it predates mosquitoes by hundreds of millions of years, I'm more inclined to believe this is just InGen messing around genetically with modern dragonflies.
I mean, why not?
Yeah. I think there was like a scene in like maybe The Lost World or something where they mentioned they did a little elephant as a test.
Yes. Scientists in sci-fi, right?
Right, exactly.
Making things happen that technically can't.
That is science in a nutshell, yeah?
Speaking of our earlier tangents, I actually did bother to look up Civil War era submarines.
Oh, okay, yeah,
Let's get off on another tangent, folks.
Yeah, okay.
All right, so the Confederates did have one. It operated 1863 to 1864.
That is an early-ass submarine.
It was known as the Hunley.
Hunley, huh?
Yep. And it
Interesting.
sank in 1864.
Ooh.
And it was the enemy ship to the Union vessel, the Housatonic.
Was that another submarine?
Nah, it was just another...
There were no submarine-on-submarine warfare just yet.
Not yet. But yep, the Hunley was the Civil War era submarine.
Oh.
Interesting tidbit about U.S. history. That came from
A
the
terrible
Britannica.
time. Yeah.
That came from Encyclopedia Britannica.
Ah, okay, cool. Interesting.
So, at least a credible source there.
That's good. That's crazy. Civil War submarines. It's not what I think of when I think of the Civil War.
Most people wouldn't, and I remember just seeing that clip in an obscure documentary. And, well, it got stored in my walking encyclopedia of weird.
Nice. Yeah, well, that's just a cool, fun fact to tell at parties, I'd say. All right, so unlike my co-host here, I'm not a bug person. I hate them. I hate every one of them. Even butterflies freak me out.
Meanwhile, I, as a high school student, volunteered at an invertebrate zoo here in Colorado.
The Butterfly Pavilion?
Yes.
And didn't you say before that you were also not a bug person, but that kind of wore you down?
Yes, no. I tolerated certain insects. I used to be utterly terrified of spiders.
Okay.
Nowadays, I'm a little bit more friendly to them. If I catch them in an inconvenient place in my house, I'll just scoop them up with whatever vessel I've got on hand.
Yeah.
And go dump them in the garden.
Oh, wow, nice. You're a better person than I am.
I have dumped jumper spiders on my tomatoes a few times and told them, guard it.
Nice.
So yes, I am actually weirdly comfortable around insects. As a kid, I used to be able to snatch dragonflies out of the air.
Oh, wow. Interesting.
Yeah.
That's cool.
It was always a fun little thing to try and do. They're fast. They're maneuverable.
Yeah.
I see how they've survived.
Could you snatch them without killing them, though? I feel like if you grab them, you'd just squash them.
Yeah. It was something I learned to do as a kid. I can't do it as an adult.
Right.
I used to watch the little blue dragonflies dart everywhere, and I would try to catch them, and every so often I would have a success.
Nice.
And then let them go after observing their beautiful wing patterns, which I'm sure Meganeura had as well.
Oh, I'm sure, absolutely. But like seriously, like I am really anti-creepy crawly. It's not even funny. Like if the last male spider and the last female spider on Earth were right here, I'd squash them under my shoe and never think about them again. I know that'd be terrible for the environment, and we need spiders to do all this stuff. I hate creepy crawlies. I irrationally hate them. At least I recognize it's irrational,
Well, some of it can be rational.
But,
while I am friendlier towards insects, centipedes will send a shiver up my spine.
Centipede.
Not millipedes, centipedes.
Yeah, millipedes are kind of cute, but
Millipedes.
centipedes, yeah.
And they're venomous.
Oh, of course they are.
And unless you know what direction they're going, telling their head from their tail can be difficult, and that's purposeful.
Oh, wow. That's, yeah. Let's see which direction it's crawling. Anyways, yeah, so I hate creepy crawlies, as you can tell. Therefore, the Carboniferous Period is the absolute last place on the timeline I would ever go visit if I were a time traveler. As I've discussed in the Arthur Plura episode, one of the first episodes of this whole show, actually, the oxygen levels in the atmosphere back then were the highest in Earth's history.
And as we understand it, that's what allowed insects to get to such massive sizes.
Yeah, and it was that high thanks to the spreading of plants and the lack of creatures able to eat them yet. And this was great for insects, as you were saying, as they breathe through what's known as book lungs, which rather than breathing in and out, they simply absorb the oxygen directly from the air.
And modern insects still use that.
Yes, and it's not very efficient and limits their maximum size, but with more oxygen in the air, that maximum can get much, much bigger. And so the creepy crawly hellhole that was the Carboniferous period was born. Like when people picture in their heads when imagining a stereotypical prehistoric environment, it's usually the Carboniferous with its murky swamps, giant ferns, thick jungly foliage, enormous bugs. It's no lava, I guess. I mean, there probably were volcanoes back then.
Probably.
But yeah, that's basically like the stereotypical prehistoric environment. Oh, you know what was also interesting about back then? You know that was called the coal forests, right? The coal swamps. Have you heard that term before?
I have, actually.
Here's the reason why, and it's actually kind of interesting. So when those big forests first evolved, they naturally there wasn't really anything yet to be able to break them down like there is now, yet, because there wasn't a need for them yet. Those evolved first, and therefore when they died,
they became coal.
They became coal. They rather than rot, they just kind of deteriorate until they broke down into coal. Underneath the surface back then was just this huge layer of coal. And it's because of this, like even millions of years later, this coal stayed there, even after by that point, we have microbes have evolved to break down trees. And this big layer of coal became a big, big problem. In what was known as the Great Dying, the Permian extinction, which was the death of 95% of all life on Earth, and it was due to volcanoes. A bunch of volcanoes erupted in Siberia due to the starting to form Pangea. All the Pangea had been around a little bit by then, but it was like that started to really bubble up. Fires started going everywhere, and guess what happened to all the coal?
Well, coal is flammable.
Oh, yeah, it exploded.
The Mythbusters would have loved it.
From a safe distance.
Of course.
I.e. Mars, but... But so in these coal swamps, one of the land's top predators was Meganeura, the subject of today's episode. Meganeura was the size of an eagle, and like them, it was a fierce predator. It had spines on its legs, specifically on its tibia and tarsi, which are nerd terms for parts on arthropod legs, that could use to spear prey and carry it off to eat.
Makes sense.
This prey includes smaller insects, other types of arthropods, and even some vertebrates, most of which were still quite small back in this time. And some of these vertebrates were the first synapsids, aka the ones that evolved from primitive ammonoots and split from the sauropsids, the ones that evolved into reptiles and other descendants like dinosaurs and birds. And so it's very likely that these early synapsids were preyed on occasionally by Meganeura, and since synapsids are the ones that evolved into mammals, that means that, yes, if you go back far enough, our direct ancestors were once hunted by this giant insect. I hate bugs! I hate them so much!
These days, modern dragonflies specialize in eating mosquitoes.
Yes.
The state bird of Minnesota.
Ain't that the truth? If this thing was alive today, it'd be the state bird in many places.
It probably would.
Yeah. My favorite state bird is New Hampshire because there the joke is the drivers are so mean that the state bird is the middle finger. You know?
I mean, it's a common joke in the northern states
that
the state bird is the mosquito. So it's not just exclusive to Minnesota.
No.
You go to Michigan, Alaska, any of those northern states with a ton of lakes and a ton of humidity, state bird's the mosquito.
See, like there are two things I hate most in this world: cold temperatures and bugs. Often they have an inverse relationship.
Yes, they do.
But in those areas, in the northern U.S., there's both.
Yeah.
So I'm avoiding those places like crazy. Like I will never go there, except I want to go to Cedar Point, which is a theme park I think in Indiana or
I've
Iowa
heard of it.
or something. It's one of the best theme parks in the world, or in the country at least. And that's getting dangerously close. So,
Thing is, unfortunately, you do want to go when it's hot because that at least the weather's predictable.
yeah, I guess it's true.
But after a certain point, and the further north you go, the sooner it turns.
Absolutely. Oh, man.
In a lot of those places, there's only 2 seasons: winter and construction.
Now construction's more annoying than scary, so that's good.
Yeah, but they have to jam all their construction projects into a smaller time window.
Yeah, I guess that's
Meanwhile, here in Colorado, construction season's all year round.
true. That's true.
And while our weather is unpredictable, you can be a lot more flexible with the unpredictability.
That's true.
We could have 90 degrees on Christmas.
We could, couldn't we? Wait.
I remember it happening at least once.
Yeah.
I remember being outside with my brothers, remote control cars.
Yeah, that's true. I remember it snowing in June once.
That's not uncommon.
Yeah. It's weird, man. Anyways. All right, well, let's rate this big monster of an insect 1 out of 65 million. For sheer novelty factor, it gets at least 30 million for me, but really, it's so creepy. I don't want, I mean, I know it would be fascinating. I know it wouldn't hurt me, but 30 million and 2 for me. What about you? I'm sure you're going to rate it a lot higher.
For me, the fact that I love dragonflies and that they are just incredible creatures, I'm going to give this thing a good 40 million.
Oh, really? That's actually still lower than I thought, but...
And here's why. While it is cool that it had the wingspan of an eagle, sadly, it didn't make it past its era.
No, it didn't. Oh, you'd want to see it now, huh?
I think it would be kind of cool if it made it alongside the dinosaurs.
That would be cool. That's true. Imagine these things with dinosaurs. Like, that seems like an easy thing to imagine.
Yes, it probably would have preyed on the smaller dinosaurs.
That's
but
true.
By the time the dinosaurs came around, other aerial predators were evolving.
Yeah, that's
faster.
true. Oh, man, can you imagine the early pterosaurs, the ones that ate insects, saw this thing like, whoa, I gotta munch on this.
That probably would have affected the path of evolution.
That's true. I guess that's true. Like, the pterosaurs from back then, a lot of them were about this size, so...
Yeah. It would have been some interesting aerial matchups.
There'd been some competition there, yeah.
And the dragonflies would have had maneuverability.
Yeah.
But they wouldn't have had the weight.
No, they wouldn't. They would not have. But also, there wasn't enough oxygen back then, so it wouldn't have happened anyway. So.
Yeah. So the fact that it got stuck in one era and didn't actually make it out of that, unlike a lot of species we talk about where they cross into other eras,
yeah,
that's where it loses a few points.
I get that. That's true. All right, well, that's it for this week. If you want to get a hold of the show, you can contact me at mattd@matthewdoncareer.com. For any general questions to any of the co-hosts, you can ask Natasha, like, how was the Butterfly Pavilion? How did you survive?
Those are actually some really fun stories. And I can tell you that I actually helped a lot of people in that time that I volunteered with their fear of arachnids.
Oh. Well, I would do that, but I'm too afraid.
That's fair.
Like, I'm too afraid. I don't want to even... I'm so afraid of arachnids, I don't want to do the work that would take to not get afraid of arachnids. Because that would mean I have to be with some arachnids. I know some people conquer their fear, like those TV shows, those reality shows, like, conquer your fear of snakes. Dive into a tub full of hundreds of snakes.
That works for only a limited number of people,
Yeah.
though. So, I'll tell you how they started me.
Yes.
When I started volunteering there, yes, they did start me with the creepy crawlies because everybody wanted Wings of the Tropics, where the butterflies were.
Mm-hmm.
So they put me with the creepy crawlies to start. They started having me handle the Madagascar hissing cockroaches, which you let people handle. They sound like an air compressor when they hiss. That's how they start you. They start you small.
That's small. I would already fail at that.
And then, because sometimes I would arrive early to my volunteer shifts, they would have me water some of the creepy crawlies. Some of them did require some more caution, but after a while you learned that most of the creepy crawlies kept to themselves.
Yeah.
Like, I know that a lot of people hate the brown recluse. I had to water it a few times.
My dad was bit by a brown recluse.
Yikes.
Ugh.
Yeah, I could stick my hand directly into its enclosure, and it would stay in its corner. There were some, though, that you didn't do that with, like the black widow.
Yes.
You just missed it those. Most of the tarantulas were actually pretty chill. There was only one that actually scared me.
Yeah, was it, like, really fast? Like,
It was fast, and here's the thing about tarantulas from Africa.
Yeah.
They have attitudes. Same with the ones from Asia. They have attitudes. So the one that I kept a close eye on is also known in the hobby as the orange bitey thing.
Oh, God.
It is big. It is bright orange. They are known as Mombasa starburst tarantulas or orange baboons. That was the one that scared me because it did bite somebody at the butterfly. And what's worse is that they didn't let him live it down. They put a picture of the thing on the guy's desk with a worm bubble. This was an arachnologist, so he should have known better.
If you want to support my work, I have a book series on Amazon, Megazoic, available for print and Kindle. That's it for this week. If we say at the end of every episode of Paleo Bites, I guess this one's easy. Like, all right, bye.